Hey, Steady Steve, please like and subscribe. Please click on the Deck Heroes icon, click and subscribe. It's 100% free. Blood in, blood out. And don't forget to click on the notifications just so you don't miss any amazing content. This is Dr. John again. If you look in the top left hand corner, my husband wants to be with his ex-girlfriend. What could possibly go wrong? Now, I've got a degree in psychology myself and a master's degree in economics. I live in the bustling city of London. I'm in my 40s. Let's see what me, John, and the whole crew can do to help this lady.
How's it going?
Good, thank you.
Awesome. What's up? How can I help?
I wanted to ask how I should go about dealing with finding messages from my husband to his ex, promising that one day he will be with her, but just not now.
Tell me. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Does this feel weird to say that out loud? Or is it just weird to be talking on the show?
No, it's hard to say out loud, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, tell me more about it. Like how ex and how old? Like tell me everything.
Okay, so we've been together for 12 years, and we've only been married for 2.
Y'all dated for a decade?
Yeah.
Dang.
We have 4 kids together.
Cool. Okay.
And this was his. Okay, so I found messages to his ex, that is his high school sweetheart. I guess she broke his heart, broke up with him, and he never was quite over it. So
hold on. How old are y'all now?
We're 35, both of us. Yeah. So all this time it's kind of like weird for me that. Okay, so over the years, he's kind of gotten in touch with her every once in a while, and they kind of do this "how have you been" thing. And I would always say, hey, I'm not comfortable with that, and have him block her or whatever. But then at some point, a year later or so, she would get unblocked, and then I would see. But from what I could tell, it wasn't anything past, a quick hi. And then I was pregnant with my 3rd child, so 2 years ago, and I saw messages back and forth with them that were more than just talking. It was quite a bit of complimenting each other and a lot of, I don't know, him giving details of our kids and just kind of more intimate talking, I guess. That turned into an issue, but I got over it, I guess, because he told me that he was just going to stop talking to her, and as far as I know, he did. But then I was pregnant with my 4th child, who I just had him a month ago. This was back in January or February, and I found messages that they're talking back and forth like they love each other. And he, at some point, he told her that they can't be together now, but one day he'll show up on her doorstep like a stranger, and they can start.
Whew. Okay, just very quick summary. Messages from husband to an ex, saying again that, like she just said, that he's going to be with her, but just can't do it now. I will talk about that a little bit more in just a second. They've been married for 12 years. So they've known each other for 12 years, married for 2 years, 4 kids. One of those kids has just popped out about a month ago, both aged about 35. She'd known about these messages for quite a while. The husband did say that he's going to break contact, but clearly hasn't. I think in summary, what we can already know is that there's an attraction between this mystery lady and the husband, and definitely some sexual tension. Listen, if they're messaging like that, it's not just texts. It's not just texts. And it's easy for me to say, I'm just kind of empathizing with her, or this, what she probably already knows is happening, it's got to be happening. I'm just saying, because nobody, it's just likely to have happened, isn't it? This long story short, that's where we're at. Anyway, let's go forward.
Over. I guess he's making it sound like he needs to stay with me and be this good guy to help raise our children together, and then I guess do something for him later in life, which would be with who he really is supposed to be with. Which I know this all sounds ridiculous when I say it out loud, but when I talk to him.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like he is in a fantasy world. Yeah, I'm not excusing it. So let me just back out. I still am friends with several people that I dated back in high school. I also met people back in high school, and I had my heart broken regularly in high school. One, I was an idiot, a bona fide idiot. And when you're in love in high school, it just feels, it's the best, right?
Yeah.
And so still being friends, that's number one. Number two, this idea that like the whole thing is a fantasy, right?
Yeah.
And he can.
Before he says that, I think I've cracked it. I've cracked it. I think I've worked this whole thing out. Not too long ago, I learned about this thing called breadcrumbing. Breadcrumbing, where you kind of lead people on just to position them where you want them to be. Does that sound like this here? He's got no intention of breaking up with his wife that he's known for 12 years. I know he's known the other person for a long time as well. No intention. In fact, his wife's only just had another baby. Right, so it's a man who's just dipping in two pots. You know what I mean? He's playing the field. He's cheating on his wife. That's it. So, in terms of the message about being with her soon, I think that's just in terms of the message to the other woman, basically about being with her soon. Very rarely do married men, break up with their wives and their actual families. You know what I mean? But he's just maintaining that side piece relationship. That's it. I think I've worked it out. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. We'll see what other developments come through in the call.
He can gallop around in this fantasy world because he knows he's not doing this. You see what I'm saying? Like none of this is real.
Right.
At the same time, the A, don't do that, and B, because it's dangerous, right? Because she might show up somewhere, or he might show up somewhere,
Yeah.
right? And so you're playing with fire. But
Mhm.
bigger than all of that is 10 years ago you asked him not to talk to this woman because you didn't have a good feeling about it.
Right.
And he's continually rubbed your nose in your request for fidelity.
Yeah, it's kind of haunting me.
Yeah. And almost always, this isn't the only place that somebody like that does this. Where else does he completely ignore what you need or what you want?
Pretty much on every level. He breaks up with me all the time, which is the craziest thing. He'll actually stop speaking to me for a week, and then he'll say, he doesn't want to be together. He will never say divorce. He calls it a relationship. He doesn't even call it a marriage. I just feel so degraded all the time, kind of.
Well, you dated him for a decade, and you had children with him before you're married. So this is what you signed up for.
Yeah, I know.
My guess is he's been the same. He's been pretty consistent for 12 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got married thinking this would all switch.
I did, because I wanted to be married before we had children.
But you had children before you were married.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so somewhere along the way, you just started accepting. I don't know. It sounds like he's been pretty consistent this whole time.
Well, I never thought that he would ever cheat on me or talk about cheating on me or go in that direction.
He just ignores you for a week and breaks up with you regularly and won't even refer to you as his wife?
Yeah. I mean, I guess since I had my third child, that's kind of been the thing for him to do. So that's been about 2 years now. I guess since we got married, that was the trigger.
Just a second. So he's known woman number two, the side lady, since high school. He's known her since for longer than he's known his wife. And he's known his wife for a good period of time, the 12 years. She's always been in the background, this side piece. It may not necessarily have crossed that line, but she's always been there. Yeah, that's front of mind for me. Anyway, let's see what else happens.
Yes.
But then you made another human with him.
Yeah. It's so much to unpack. But, what he'll do is he'll take back all of the negative things that he says to me, and he will make me think he just said it because he was in a bad mood.
Well, both of those things can be true. It doesn't make it right.
Yeah.
I'm often not who I want to be when I'm in a bad mood, but if I act like an idiot, then I'm still an idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like a universal pass.
I know. But so I don't.
Let me ask you this. How can I help you?
Well, I could stay and just let him continue doing this way because for one, I feel like I'm pretty isolated. I have no family here, and he says that I can't leave because I would be taking the kids out of state to go live with my parents, and I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I don't have any money myself, so that would be my solution to leaving, or I could stay and see if.
Ashley, are you safe?
Yes.
You don't sound safe. I've talked to people who are not safe my whole life, my whole career.
I'm safe. I'm just very.
John's going to go down a very slippery slope right here now. She said that basically she's financially trapped in as much as even if she wanted to leave, she can't afford to maintain the kids, right? So, but they've been married 12 years. So effectively, I think in the States, she's going to get, is it alimony? You know what I mean? And then, yeah, listen, she'll be taken care of. She obviously, the real question is she doesn't want to break up that marriage. She doesn't want to divorce this guy. That's number one. But I think that John is going to explore this "are you safe" angle just to try and force um, her husband into some kind of defensive position, into a no-win situation. She hasn't mentioned anything about not being safe. Being safe wasn't in the forefront of my mind at all. I don't know if it was in yours. There's no evidence to suggest it. So where does this come from? It comes from nowhere. But anyway, let's see where he's going to go with it.
I'm emotionally distraught.
Yeah.
Because
and you have
I'm
a 1-month-old, right?
Yeah, so what happened was my entire pregnancy, he was telling me that he didn't want to be with me, but he was going to let me stay at home. And so I was very depressed the entire time. And he didn't care, and he was very cold to me. But then just about 3 weeks ago, he completely switched and has been telling me he wants everything to be better, and he wants to stay together, and he's been very nice and kind. And I am so confused by it. It really just throws me up and down. And
sure, it sounds like he's the kite and you're the tail of that kite, just getting dragged all over the place. And the only way a marriage, especially a marriage with 4 kids, the only way marriage works is if 2 people sit down and say, here's what we both need, here's what we both want, and here's what we're going to build together.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. She said, listen, she just said that he, more or less, don't put words in her mouth, that he opted out of the relationship. He just wanted done with it. It's not the first time that she's brought up those words or words to those effect in a 10-minute call. You know what I mean? And then he wants to leave and then he's coming back. He probably is a little bit torn between wanting to not break up the situation for his kids. You know what I mean? Maybe he just feels a little bit more partial towards the bit on the side, towards the other woman from time to time. Or maybe something else which is just particularly specific to this guy. But we need to know a little bit more detail about the circumstances of why he said he wanted to opt out of that relationship. We need to know the whys. Otherwise, we just don't know. We're just guessing. We're just feeling around in the dark and just coming up with our own conclusions, which may or may not be right and probably aren't going to be right. It's definitely not going to be focused and specific. What did he say? What has he done? Did he give any reasons? Advise her to get reasons. Advise her to get some counselling. Oh my gosh, man, hasn't even mentioned it's 10 minutes in. Never does. Psychologist. Get some counselling. See if your marriage can be saved. See if some kind of truths can be revealed. Normally, I've got guys in this situation. I say, get a male counsellor. Obviously, for her, make sure you get a female counsellor, somebody who can empathise with your position. You know what I mean? Go in there with a list of questions of what you really need to know if you're going to have a conversation with him. I mean, outside of counselling, if you're going to have that conversation with him, think it through. Think about all the questions you want answered. Please just encourage him to say, like, I don't, please just be upfront. I can take it. You need honesty right now just to know if it can be saved or not. Or as you said, or as she said, sorry, effectively she's in a non-monogamous relationship, basically a 3-way relationship, minimum 3-way relationship. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure that she's got a choice in that matter anyway. And I'm pretty sure, as I said, that they've already crossed that line many times over many years. I'm wondering if the bit on the side has got any kids and whether they're his is what I'm thinking as well. Anyway, let's go.
It can't be you living outside on the front lawn in a tent and just some guy coming out the front door at random intervals saying, you can come on in. Where you been? Come on in. You can't live like that. And your 4 kids can't live like that.
No.
The challenge you have before you is this has been your relational dynamic for 12 years. This is a bed that y'all co-created together.
Yeah.
And if he was on the phone, I would talk man to man to him, and the way he's treating you is wrong, and it's disrespectful, and it's shameful, all that. And you've had 4 kids with a guy who's been the same way for more than a decade. He's never changed.
No.
And so you've been with a rattlesnake and you've dated a rattlesnake and you created people with a rattlesnake and now you've suddenly got upset that it keeps biting you.
Yeah.
And now there's a lot at stake. There's 4 new lives at stake here.
Yes.
And so I don't see a path forward without professional intervention. Okay?
Really?
And yeah, of course, you have to get a marriage therapist of some sort to sit down and sort this out. Because he is going to have to decide, I am a different human starting now. And I've seen that done, and it's hard. And you are going to have to decide, I'm going to be a different human starting now. He is going to have to honor and respect you and be a present father and a present husband. And y'all are going to have to learn how to be friends for the first time in a decade. And you are going to have to learn to say what you want and what you need and stand by those boundaries.
Okay.
Right? But y'all can't do that by...
I don't know about friends in the first time in a decade, but they need to be upfront and honest about things going forwards, or they're just living a lie. And part of that lie is most definitely going to include this other woman, it would seem. Or it might include that she is surplus to requirements, you know what I mean? So it's either going to, it's just nothing good to come from this. So it's either going to be a 3-way relationship, or it's going to be him and her. You know what I mean? That's the way it seems. Or it's going to be him more or less in isolation with her, even though they just had a kid a month ago, you know what I mean? So it is a little bit complicated, and he's obviously a very sexually driven man, it would seem. Yeah, definitely counselling. Definitely counselling. If there's anything fixable about their marriage, which may well kind of steer his mind to be in the, towards these wedding vows, basically, and away from these distractions with somebody else. And if that can be saved, that marriage, then definitely that's where they should go. So yeah, definitely counselling.
Yourself, you've proven that for over a decade.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm Dr. Deloney. My wife is Dr. Deloney. We're pretty smart. We're not very smart. She's smart. I went to a bunch of classes. I went to a bunch of school.
Yeah.
We have sat at the feet of great therapists over the course of our 21 years because I've almost blown it up a few times. Okay? Doesn't mean you're broken or wrong, but y'all have reached a point where you need to get a professional. Or think of it this way. Your husband has been plunging and plunging and plunging a toilet, and it keeps clogging up. You got to call a plumber.
Yeah.
Okay? And if he says, I won't do that, behavior is a language. He is telling you, I'm not interested in this thing working out.
Right. Because that's what I kind of feel like it's going to happen. He's not going to, before that, and he really won't have a conversation very deep with me.
That's right. And listen,
all.
Nothing changes if nothing changes. That's it. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And if he cracked the door open and said, I want this thing to work, you're my wife, these are our 4 kids, I want things to be better around here, that is an invitation, or you could take it as an invitation for you to say, okay, cool. I've made us an appointment with a marriage therapist. I've got somebody who's going to come watch the kids, and we're going to go sort this thing out, and we have to build something completely new. Neither of us have ever been married with 4 children. That's a new world. That's one player away from a basketball team. We're going to have to learn how to be friends. We're going to have to learn how to date. We're going to have to learn how to run this household. We're going to have to learn how to be lovers. We have to learn how to do all this over again. Are you all the way in? Because I am. And then we're going to go from there. And if he says, screw you, I'm not doing any of that, this is what you always do, yada, yada, then your next call should probably be to an attorney to find out what the rules are and what the regulations are and what your rights are. I don't know what they are in Arkansas. You and only you can make the decision as to whether this is the life you want for you and your kids. I'm not going to make that call for you, but I will call out, this has been the way it's always been, and you opted into this thing for 12 years. So one of y'all has to make a call. This is going to be different starting now. And my hope is y'all are both in to rebuild this thing. It's going to take a ton of work and a lot of practice. Go make it happen, or go do your best. Give him a shot to join you. Thanks for the call.
Very good call. Very interesting. I think we covered most of the main points. Yeah, I think he nailed it at the end. I've watched a lot of Dr. John's videos. Very rarely he talks about counselling. I think it's probably the second video out of all the videos I've watched that's even been mentioned. Yeah, she's got a complicated situation there. A very complicated situation. 4 kids, stay-at-home mom. It's obviously very unfair. She's sacrificed, or she's committed to that relationship, and on the face of it, she's done nothing wrong. Of course, we don't know. We got one side of the story, and there's obviously 2 sides of the story: her side, his side, and the truth. But based on the information that we know, he stepped out on the marriage and she has not. So yeah, I really hope that goes well. Anyway, please like, subscribe then, Stephen. I am out.